It's been another week, which means there's been another theme for Nexus's Fallout Modathon. Last week's theme was Season of Survival, and although it definitely wasn't the most releases we've seen, these are probably the biggest and most impactful releases maybe of the whole Modathon. For Fallout New Vegas at least. Huge thank you to Nexus Mods for sponsoring this video, and in case you didn't know, the Fallout Modathon is Nexus's community event running from now until December 31st, in which if you upload a mod and tag it with Fallout Modathon 2025, you can be in for the chance of being one of 4 lucky mod authors to win a trip to Las Vegas. Their Fallout for Hope charity drive is also going on at the moment and has been extended to December 31st, where by donating a minimum of 5 USD to the Modathon's Tiltify page, or you can opt in to automatically donate all donation points your mod receives to the charity drive. You can not only support a good cause like St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, but also be entered in for the chance of winning a 1-to-1 replica of the Pip-Boy 3000 that IGN did a really good video covering here. So in case the Modathon wasn't enough, maybe helping out a good cause and potentially winning a Pip-Boy 3000 could be. As for the mods that we got last week, we saw some really strong ones. Fallout New Vegas can be made incredibly immersive. The game already has its hardcore mode built into it, adding in sleep, hydration, and hunger bars to manage. Of course, you have your dedicated mods that aim to make the wasteland more realistic by changing the balancing of the game and that sort of stuff. But no matter how difficult you make your game balance-wise, New Vegas fundamentally lacks tension. The tension that should come from being on death's door mid-fight is absent. But we've just got a mod that will completely change how you approach combat in New Vegas. It's not often that people have asked me to cover a mod so much, and even less so that we get a mod as revolutionary as this. It might very well be the mod of the century in my opinion, and that's real-time menus by Wall. It simply makes things that would usually stop time just not do that. Of course it's a lot more complex, but VATS with this mod is amazing. By default, instead of the world around you hitting a standstill as soon as you press the V key, it will now slow down to the same speed it is in Fallout 4. But if you want, you can even make it like 76 with real-time VATS, although I would really not recommend this. There are a couple of issues obviously setting it this high. And this is all the while being able to see your weapon in VATS. This can be configured in the mod's INI, but as well as VATS, the Pip-Boy also no longer freezes time. And this adds so much to combat. You never get a break from the action. There's no opportunity to open your Pip-Boy to consume 500 packs of fancy lad snacks. You can see the blood splatters and visual screen effects when being hit in your Pip-Boy too, so you'll know just when you need to put it down and fight back. But another really cool feature that comes with having a real-time Pip-Boy is that you can see the items you drop leave your inventory right there while still being in the Pip-Boy menu. It's small, yeah, but it's a really nice side effect of this mod. Although discussing this purely through how it impacts combat is doing it a disservice because it's also so much more. Because every instance where the game usually pauses or freezes, it's not going to do that. So now though, in dialogue you can see NPCs walk around in the background. Like, I didn't realize how big of a difference this makes to the feeling of the game until experiencing it for myself. Even with it sometimes exacerbating some of the issues of New Vegas at times. But not only does it unpause the dialogue, but there's also options in the mod's INI, such as disabling things such as the dialogue zoom and even enabling third-person dialogue. There's also a Skyrim style looking around whilst in dialogue that's present, and being given this extra movement makes listening to an NPC talk even more immersive, as you've always got some form of control over the camera. This mod makes talking to NPCs feel so seamless that it almost feels like Fallout 4. And best of all, this mod is highly configurable. By editing the mod's INI, you can select which menus you want to be paused and which ones you don't. For example, by default the hacking minigame will still freeze time, but you can change this by simply changing a 1 to a 0, and the same can be done with everything else in this mod. So things like the companion wheel, dialogue and the Pip-Boy can all be reverted back to their vanilla behaviour individually, so you really can pick and choose. Overall, this is a mod that you definitely need to play with for Fallout New Vegas at least once. You'd be doing yourself a disservice if you don't. It genuinely changes how the game feels so much, it's crazy and definitely worth experiencing. Now, I've decided I want to play Skyrim, mainly because Sig, the same author who did some of my favourite melee animations for New Vegas, has started doing some first-person animations for Skyrim. But this is where my issues started. I've never really played or modded Skyrim before, but thankfully Nexus Premium made this incredibly easy. Its uncapped download speeds paired with either a collection or a Wabberjack list made this process literally take less time than it took for me to finish making my hot chocolate. The best part is there's no strings attached, you can cancel your premium membership at any time. But to be honest, if you mod these games regularly, there's no reason not to have Nexus Premium. It just speeds up the process of just kind of doing nothing whilst waiting for your mods to download so much. So you can spend more time actually playing your modded games. If you're interested in the full list of benefits Premium offers, consider checking out the link in the description. Speaking of Skyrim though, Fallout's coolest melee weapons have just received a massive visual upgrade with Proton Axe's Ratified, which replaces the vanilla weapons with new high quality models and textures. Honestly, these look amazing. Now, maybe I'm just a sucker for these weapons, they've always been my personal favourite, and actually my first really bad weapon mod was making a one-handed melee version of these. But the visual upgrade here is greatly appreciated. I mean, just look at them. The exaggerated green rust bits on the inversal Proton axes was kind of hard to see with the quality of the weapons in vanilla. But here you can see it and it's just so nice. The added details to these weapons as well really helps them fit in with the modded Fallout New Vegas, especially if you've touched up your visuals as much as I have. So if you want even more high quality weapon models, definitely pick this mod up. To freshen up your next run through to the strip though, you might want to do it with El Dorado Desert. This is the latest release from an overhaul project called the Mojave Cartography and Infrastructure Project, which aims to improve the aesthetic and accuracy of the wasteland. This entry covers the region between Novak to just a bit after Helios 1, and you'll instantly notice the difference approaching this area now. The weird massive cliffs that walled around the Repcon facility and Ranger Station Charlie are gone. This change alone is massive. You can see Dinky the dinosaur on the horizon, and the overall view you get with this mod installed is really nice. It opens up the Mojave, making this region in particular feel a lot less claustrophobic and a lot bigger. There are several newly added locations too, none are particularly expansive, but they add some much needed flavour to what was largely an empty expanse in the vanilla game. A field full of solar panels and a Repcon radio station are just some of the newly added areas with this mod, and each one does a good job at building upon the region, especially in terms of the pre-war infrastructure that was already here. Just having random buildings in the desert in the middle of nowhere is something that New Vegas does a lot, but even just having these small areas surrounding them adds so much to the believability of the world. Although the base game marked location that's seen the biggest change with this mod is the Viper camp south of Novak. Now it actually feels like a camp. The shacks are gone, replaced with tents, and this feels a lot more natural. It was really weird that right next to this populated settlement with a first recon sniper, you just have a gang hanging out there in their makeshift shacks. Now, you will have to rebuild your LOD after downloading this mod, and you might encounter floating rocks like I did here. That's not an issue with the mod though, it just means you've got a conflicting one, which there probably will be a few of considering the breadth of cells this mod changes. But yeah, they've also covered Sloan doing a similar thing for that location, and if this seems like something that interests you, you should really install it. But probably the biggest mod of the year released last week, that being Long 15. Don't worry, I'm not going to be spoiling it here, but this is essentially a new DLC made by modders for Fallout New Vegas. It adds in over 20 hours of new content in a new region bigger than that of Old World Blues. It will have you exploring the road past the Mojave outpost. You can already do this in the postgame of Lonesome Road of course, but unlike then when it's just a small NCR base you can explore, this is a fully fledged out world space. It's got new locations, a regional main quest, side quests, new armors, weapons, and even a brand new radio station that you actually have some influence over the songs it plays. You can of course visit the NCR base that was in Lonesome Road called Fort Weston, and see it prior to its inhabitants becoming ghoulified. All the questlines here are pretty extensive and most of all they're fun. There's a really good variety of objectives here and the mod itself is incredibly immersive. When playing the content that's added here, there were times where I genuinely forgot I was playing a mod. And this of course is all aided by the incredible voice cast. The characters here are all really believable and feel like people you'd encounter in the wastes.
You're pretty well liked by High Command. Heard your name floated a couple times for outreach work.
Something you'll notice with this area though is that it's not as much of a wasteland as something like the Mojave is. and that makes this area feel distinct from the Mojave. Despite that though, it does still remain consistent in both aesthetics and the feeling of exploration you get from the base game. On your way to and from objectives, you'll often find yourself stumbling across areas to explore which more often than not bring their own quests. And I think overall this could be the strongest New Vegas DLC sized mod we've received so far. It had me constantly immersed and wanting to play more. The Long 15 does a great job at capturing the feeling of playing New Vegas in its quests, exploration and world building. It's worth a download and definitely worth playing. If you want a more in-depth look at my thoughts on this mod, consider checking out the dedicated video I did on it here. So yeah, but anyways, that's gonna be all for today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, maybe consider liking or subscribing. And don't forget, you can enter into the Fallout Modathon by tagging your mod with Fallout Modathon 2025. But I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope to see you all next time.
Scanning for hostiles.